And so I'm going with kind of a fun deck to run. It's kind of budget deck, Electromagnetic Warriors. You're not going to find this tier 1 or 0, but it's still a fun deck to run, and it can be competitive. Let's go to the profile. So we're going to first start, we're running all the Electromagnetic Warriors. So we have 3 alpha, 3 beta, 3 gamma. And some people like to cut gamma or beta or alpha back. I like running the full complement. You want cards in your graveyard. You want to always have cards to make plays and to combo and to add to your hand. So I like staying with the full complement. These do an excellent job of interacting with each other. For instance, beta will add either of these any level 4 Magnet Warrior to your hand. And so gamma will special summon one from your hand, and alpha will add one of the level 8 Magna Warriors to your hand. Now, all of these effects happen when the card is normal or special summoned, which is awesome. The next thing that they do is, if these cards are on your field, on your opponent's turn, you may tribute them and special summon Delta, the Magnet Warrior. And we run 3 of them. Now, Delta, when it is normal or special summoned, you get to bury a Magnet Warrior level 4 or lower from your deck to the graveyard. So again, we're going to see some of the combinations later where we want materials in our graveyard, and so being able to tribute and then bring out Delta, bury another, we just can very quickly amass all the components that we need. So that's the level 4 Electromagnetic Warriors. So anytime you hear an effect referred to Magnet Warriors, it's one of these 12 cards. Now we'll go to the Magna Warriors. We run 3 Berserkion and 2 Valkyrian. And so Berserkion is kind of one of the main beat sticks of the deck. He is 3,000 attack. You special summon him by banishing an alpha, beta, or gamma from your hand, field, or graveyard. So, like I said, those combinations where you're adding to your hand or being able to bury it at the graveyard very quickly can get all 3 components. You can bring it out that way, and then you can also banish another level 4 Magnet Warrior monster from your graveyard and destroy a card on the field. And that's not once per turn. As long as you have materials to banish out of the graveyard, you can continue to use this effect. When it is destroyed by battle, or when it is destroyed by card effect, you can special summon back alpha, beta, and gamma from remove from play, or from the from banish. So, very next play, if your opponent's able to destroy this very next turn, you can get another one to your hand and then go right back into it. Valkyrian, now we don't have the components necessary to summon Valkyrian with the text on his card. However, there is a way to play him by using Delta's second effect. And Delta's second effect is when it's sent to the graveyard, you can banish 3 Magnet Warrior monsters other than Delta and bring out Valkyrian. So, and that doesn't have to be one of each. It could be 2 betas and an alpha, whatever the case may be. Now, that being said, we'll talk about this later, but Valkyrian would not have been summoned by the card or by the text on his card. So any cards that could normally bring it back from the grave if it were to leave the field would not be able to use because it was not properly summoned first. The other level 8 that I run in the deck is 2 Block Dragon. Now, Block Dragon can be summoned by banishing 3 Earth-type monsters from your hand or graveyard. And so he's basically 2,500 beat stick. He has 3,000 defense. Rock monsters you control cannot be destroyed except by battle. So you can kind of put him in defense and then defend against Regeki or other destruction effects that might be out there. And if you need a 2,500 beat stick, if that's enough power for you, he's definitely there as well. Also, when he leaves the field, or when he's sent from the field to graveyard, you get to add rock monsters that equal level 8. And it can be up to 3. So you can add one of these level 8s here, or you can add a combination of rock monsters that equal 8. Now, so far we've seen nothing but 3s, and then the delta was 4. But there is another card that will allow you to get that combination to equal exactly 8. So that's the level 8s of the deck. The other monsters are run, and honestly, these are kind of techie cards. You can look at some options and kind of work with what works best for you, what you have available. These are just what I'm going with right now. I have one Barrier Statue of the Drought. Prevents any special summoning except for Earth-type monsters. So it's good to kind of lock down your opponent if they're drawing dead or if they're top decking. It does kind of freeze you a little bit as well, because some of the cards in your extra deck are non-earth, but many of them are. And it is pretty weak. It's only got 1,000 attack and defense. But I'm still playing around with it, but for right now, there's been a couple games where it's definitely served its purpose. I run 1 Sentry Soldier of Stone. If you control nothing but rock types, and this is in your graveyard, you can special summon it once per turn. So you can bury it. You can, if you just have it in defense and it gets destroyed. I mean, it's a good opening card if you've got no other real combinations or you just want to see what your opponent's going to do. It's got 2,000 defense, but it can bring itself back for an easy rank 3 play. I run 2 Gorgona Gargoyles. These are semi out of place because they're dark. But anytime you normal summon a rock type monster from your rock type monster, you get a special summon this card from your hand. So it's an auto rank 3 play. It is rock, so it goes right into pretty much all the Xyzes that we make. Like I said, the only thing kind of out of place is that it is a dark, so we won't be able to use it for the link monster that we use. And the final one is a Doki Doki. This is a level 2, which allows you to, with that block dragon effect, add 2 level 3s, and then Doki Doki can be your 2 to make it an 8 combination. And basically, you can discard a rock type monster and special summon from your deck 1 rock type monster that has the same original attribute and level as that monster, and face up attack or face down defense. You can only use this effect of Doki Doki once per turn. So if you have 1 Electromagnetic Warrior and you've got Doki Doki, you can play Doki, discard the Electromagnet, add 1 of the Electromagnets, and then depending what other cards are in the field, you can go ahead and continue with some combinations from there. Or I'm sorry, you get to discard and then special summon that Electromagnet, which you get their effect, which adds or can special summon other cards. So that's the monster lineup. For spells, best card in the deck, Magnetic Field. Once per turn, you can special summon a Magnet Warrior, level 4 or lower, from your graveyard to the field. And so we were talking about how Gamma can special summon, so you could special summon Gamma, and then that would special summon like a Beta from your hand. Beta would add Alpha, normal summon Alpha, which adds Berserkion, and then right there, with only this card in a Gamma in the graveyard, you have pretty much an automatic Berserkion to the field. The second effect is also very nice. If a rock type monster you control battled an opponent's monster, and the opponent's monster was not destroyed by battle, you can return that opponent's monster to hand. So basically, if you have, like I said earlier, you like tributing the Alpha, Beta, and Gamma to bring out Delta. If you bring out Delta in defense, your opponent attacks it and destroys it, that opponent's monster is going to go back to the hand. And it doesn't target. It's not a destruction effect, which many things are anti-destruction. So it's really a very nice card. I run 1 Fusion Gate. We do run the fusion that will fuse Berserkion and Valkyrian together. We'll talk about that later, but this is pretty much how we fusion. Along with 3 terraforming. So there's basically, you can look at it as 4 polymerizations or just assurance that we are going to definitely get out magnetic field early on in the deck or in the game. So those are the kind of the field spell setup that I've got for this. For the rest of the spell cards, we've got a Magnet Reverse. This allows you to bring back a machine or rock type monster that is banished or in the graveyard and that cannot be normal summoned or set, and then you can special summon it to the field. So you can special summon a Berserkion back to the field that has been either banished or in the graveyard as long as it was properly summoned first. I mentioned earlier you will not be able to use this on Valkyrian even if you got Valkyrian to the field with Delta. And you can also use this on some of the extra deck monsters, the fusions, and then 3 of the Xyz monsters that are in the deck. You can also not use this on Block Dragon. I run 1 Regeki Destruction, and I do tech in a Rank Up Magic, the 7th one. This is an excellent card. You draw it. If you draw it on your draw phase, you get to automatically put out on the field a 101 through 107, and then automatically overlay its Chaos Xyz on top of it. And there's a very nice combination in this in the extra deck that I'll show you to kind of set up this play. As long as this is not in your opening hand, you're pretty safe because this card doesn't. This deck doesn't do a lot of drawing outside the draw phase. It mostly just adds. So there we go. That's the spells. For traps, we run 1 magnet conversion. This allows you to take 3 magnet warriors in your graveyard, put them in your hand, and it can be up to 3. So, if you just need to get one of them back to hand so you can normal summon it and get a combination going, that's all you would need. And then, on a following turn, you can banish this card and special summon a magnet warrior from the banish zone to the field. So, and every time these magnet warriors get special summoned, they get those effects that just either add, special summon from hand. It's just really nice. Apologize about the cough. Next one up is Rock Bombardment. You send a rock type monster to the graveyard and then deal your opponent 500 damage. So you can send the Sentry Soldier Stone. You can send one of the magnet warriors to be brought out for the magnetic field. You really have a lot of options there. And dealing 500, never a bad thing. I do tech in Typhoon. I don't run Twin Twister or Mystical Space Typhoon, although Twin Twister, since we can often pull things back from the graveyard, may not be a bad idea. It's just, I kind of found it cloggy when I ran it, and often I didn't have enough targets if my opponent hadn't gone yet or wasn't running Pendulums. But Typhoon basically can destroy 1 face-up spell card. And the awesome thing is that if your opponent controls 2 spell cards and you have no spells or traps, which often you don't, unless you've got another set trap, you can go ahead and activate this from hand. And it is a trap. So basically on your opponent's turn, if they're setting scales, you can activate Typhoon from your hand to disrupt those scales if they're trying to do a Pendulum summon or something to that effect. And then finally, since they did get a little more within budget, I do run Triple Solemn Strike. I know for some people this still may be kind of an expensive card, but it's usually under 10, which, it's the most expensive card in the deck right now. So that's the trap lineup. And instead of strikes, you could run Bottomless, you could run Warning, Solemn Warning, you could run any of those generic cards or, cards that are definitely more within your budget, if you're looking at, if you don't have strikes available to you. Extra deck, 2 of the fusion monsters, which has a big long name, Imperium Magnum Superconductor Battlebot. This is the definite beat stick of the deck. 4,000 attack, once per turn. During either player's turn, when your opponent activates a spell, trap card, or a monster effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Yeah, definitely. Let's see here. Also, if this face-up card in zone control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can special summon both one Valkyrian and one Berserkion from hand or deck, ignoring the summoning conditions. So that's why we run the 2 Valkyrian, one for the fusion, and then one to be special summoned if they somehow get rid of that fusion. There we go. So for Xyz, I run a Grand Pulse, 2800 defense, and basically it's a kind of serves as my MST of the deck. Detach 1 and destroy. I run Gorgonic Guardian. So it starts with 2 materials, 2 level 3s, rock types, which pretty much the entire deck is. And then you can detach a 1 Xyz material, target one of your opponent's monsters, and its attack becomes 0. And that's effective both when you're trying to attack your opponent and if your opponent is getting ready to attack you. It is a targeting effect, so it's not the end-all be-all, but it is a very nice card. So 1 Soul of Silver Mountain. If this, you can detach material, target a face-down spell or trap card, and as long as this card is on the field, that card cannot be activated. The other good thing about this is that if this, let's see here, if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle while it has material, you can target 1 Earth monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So you can put this out, attack a monster or attack a lower monster. That's and then be able to special summon and keep combinations going for main phase 2. I run a Levier Sea Dragon. Basically, it gets to recycle cards or monsters that have been banished, special summon back to the field, continue combinations, go into Berserkion. And with these level 3s, there's a lot of versatility here. Some people like to run Dante. Some people like to run Alucard, Ghostrick Alucard. So those are definitely options that you can consider as you're setting up your own deck if you go with this. Number 39, Utopia, and Utopia the Lightning. The only way to make them is by using 2 deltas and putting them together, but it can be done. Delta can be special summoned from the graveyard. Please note the only other level 4 was the Barrier Statue, which that does not allow non-Earth special summons, so you cannot overlay it into a light. So yeah, it's really only situational 2 deltas, but it can go ahead and close out and win you the game, and it has worked for me in the past. So I haven't really found better cards to take this out, even as conditional as it is. So that's why it's still there. So I run a number 71 Rebarian Shark. So this is the tech I was talking about that works with Rank Up Magic, the 7th one. So once per turn you can bring a number back from your graveyard and then attach a material from this card to that card. So if Utopia was in the graveyard, or if one of the other numbers that we'll play here in a second were in the graveyard, you could bring them back and then give it a material. But the best thing is when this card is destroyed, it has 2000 defense. You can choose 1 Rank Up Magic spell card in your deck and place it on top of your deck. So you can top deck the 7th one and know that you're going to draw it your next turn. And with this card being destroyed, you know you're going to have the open extra zone or the open link zone in order to be able to make that number monster on your turn. So going with that, when we do get Rank Up Magic, the 7th one, we run number 101, Silent Under Arc, and it's Chaos version. You could also make this with 2. You could also make number 101 with 2 deltas if you didn't want to make Utopia, but usually you wouldn't. And then I run number 107, Galaxy Eyes Tachyon, and it's Chaos version because you can very quickly swarm the field, and if you have the C-107 on field and 2 monsters, you contribute those 2 monsters, and then this card can make up to 3 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. So, and it's got 4,500 attack points. So it's a good way to go ahead and close out the game. And then finally, the Blink monsters, Mrs. Radiant. 2 Earth monsters, which everything in this deck is. And that way you can go ahead and open up 2 Link Zones and be able to make your XZ sparks. So this is a really fun deck to play. I've enjoyed both casual and semi-competitive, and had some pretty good luck with it. Let us know what you think, and be sure to like and subscribe. Later all.